Back in the winter of 2022, I was working the overnight shift at a gas station convenience store located right off a quiet stretch of state highway. The shift ran from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and for 90% of the night, I was the only employee in the entire building. The town was small, so after 1 a.m., traffic usually died down to almost nothing. Around 3:15 a.m., on a miserable rainy night, I was behind the counter stocking tobacco displays. The bell above the front door chimed, letting me know a customer had entered. I turned around and gave my standard, "Hey, how's it going?" Walking down the center aisle was a guy in a soaking wet yellow raincoat with the hood pulled tightly around his face. He didn't answer me. He didn't even look in my direction. He walked straight past the registers and headed toward the back corner where the glass walk-in cooler doors were located. I didn't think much of it. Night shift retail brings in plenty of odd, non-talkative late-night drivers. I went back to scanning inventory on my handheld device. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I looked up at the security monitor mounted above the register. The camera facing the back cooler showed the guy standing completely still in front of the milk section. He wasn't grabbing anything. He was just standing there with his hands buried deep in the pockets of his raincoat, staring at his own reflection in the tinted glass. "Hey man, you finding everything all right?" I called out over the store's intercom speaker. No response. He didn't even flinch. Feeling a bit uneasy, I stepped out from behind the counter. The store was dead silent, except for the low hum of the refrigeration units. I walked down the snack aisle toward the back, keeping a safe distance. "Sir? Store's closing for sanitization in 5 minutes, so if you're going to buy something, you need to bring it up." I lied, hoping to get him to leave. The man slowly turned around to face me. That's when my stomach sank. Underneath the wet hood, he was wearing a heavy latex masquerade mask, the kind with a blank, waxy white face and exaggerated, painted red lips. But what made my blood run cold was what he was holding. He had pulled his hands out of his pockets, and in his right hand was a massive pair of heavy-duty industrial bolt cutters. In a low, gravelly whisper, he said, "I know the breaker box is in the back office. Lock the front door, or I'll cut the main line, and we can do this in the dark." Panic spiked through my entire body. My instincts took over immediately. Instead of complying, I turned on my heel, sprinted back toward the front counter, and hit the silent panic alarm underneath the cash register table. The moment he heard the register bell chime as I leaped over the counter, he burst into a full sprint down the aisle toward me, bringing the heavy metal bolt cutters up over his shoulder like a club. I didn't try to fight him. I threw my weight against the heavy, reinforced door of the employee break room right behind the counter, slammed it shut, and threw the deadbolt just as he crashed violently into the outside frame. Bang! The door rattled in its frame. He slammed the bolt cutters against the wood 3 more times, splintering the center panel. I backed away into the far corner, grabbing a metal fire extinguisher and holding it like a baseball bat, terrified the door would give way. Then, silence. I heard the rapid chime of the front entrance bell ringing, followed by the sound of tires screeching outside in the wet parking lot. The police arrived 4 minutes later. The silent alarm had worked. They found the front door wide open, the register untouched, and the break room door heavily damaged. When the officers pulled the exterior security camera footage, they made a disturbing discovery. The man hadn't pulled up in a car. He had walked out of the thick brush across the highway, waited behind the dumpster for 45 minutes until no other cars were in the lot, and then walked inside. He was never identified, and I turned in my 2 weeks' notice the very next afternoon. If you like the story, stay connected for more horror stories you may love.